Okay. So today's Amud is really Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph, which we're up to. We're on Yud Ches Amud Aleph already, like 5 lines down. It's a short Amud, so Pashtas we will go a little. Shiur will be a little shorter than usual, but also we'll go a little bit down into Yud Ches Amud basis. Yud Ches Amud basis is a long Amud, so we'll see exactly how far we go, but we'll definitely go a little bit into Yud Ches Amud basis as well. Okay, so we're holding by Gufa, 5 lines from the top of Yud Ches Amud Aleph. We discussed earlier. Rabbi said that Azar fa'acham min ha'oila l'fnei zrika chutz l'chayma that Reb Shimon lo kechamish. Now, it's based on the brisa, this long brisa which we had in Zayin Amud Aleph, which pashtus at first glance, Hashkafa Rishayna, we thought was coming to give Malkias for each of these different Yisurim, which are learned out of a Kavachoyma. And of course, since one thing is learned out of another from a Kavachoyma, so the passage which talks about Toider Shlamim, for example, must be talking about Lifnei Zrika. The passage which talking about Bechayra must be coming to Lifnei Zrika because that you learn from Toider Shlamim. So it must be talking about Achazrika and so on and so forth. So the passage we thought that is mamish lots of Malkias. Eventually, the Hamshach, based on the Kash of Ein Masirim Min Adin, and finally also another tweak later on where we said Taka Kroy Yisroel, that we Taka do have an extra pasuk that it could have said Lo Yisoich Leim. Why does it have to say, right? It says Beveisa Sham Bachaltan. It gives the whole list of Meisers, Trumas, and Bechoyer and Karbonis and everything. So it said you have to bring it to Eretz Yisrael. If you just wanted to say to Yerushalayim, if it just said you're not allowed to eat it outside, it should have said Lo Yisoich Leim. From the fact that the pasuk said each one, so Be'emes you have one more lab. But as Rashi explained, all you really have one more Malchus. All you really have as far as Malchus is concerned, just to summarize, is chutz l'chayma for all of them, because that's what it says in the original pasuk. And then one more, which is for Bikurim, you have la'oichel ad shelo kara alein, and you also have all the karbanas which are eaten lifnei zrika. That is really what we have Malchus for. And Pshat in Rava, which says Zar sha'acham min ha'olif nei zrika chutz l'chayim the b'shimon loike chamesh isn't loike chamesh. The emes will be loike shtayim, I believe. When it says loike chamesh, it means chamisho yisurin hava. We take a stick with that. That's where we're holding. So now the Gemara, I'm just saying this as an introduction because when the Gemara now quotes Rava again, it doesn't really explain, at least right in the point to Rashi, when it says loike chamesh, it means there's 5 yisurim, and the Gemara asks there should be another malchus. Again, you have to take a tight choice, a lav after another malchus, but the vart is another isur. Or even if there is another malchus, but it's not the noisef to the 5 malchus because the 5 malchus are 5 yisurim. So gufa inside. Amar Rava zar sha'acham min ha'oila l'fnei zrika chutz l'chayma. A zar who ate from an oila. Remember, an oila is something that even the Klein can't eat. So here you have a zar eating from the oila l'fnei zrika, before zrika, which means even if it would be a regular carbon, a Klein wouldn't be able to eat it before zrika. So chutz l'chayma plus is chutz l'chayma, which is a problem because nothing's allowed to be eaten chutz l'chayma. Kachim, even when they can be eaten chutz l'chayma. Akopanim Rava says zar sha'acham min ha'oila l'fnei zrika chutz l'chayma the Shimon loike chamish. But according to Shimon, loike chamish, and as we explained before, it doesn't mean loike chamish. It means that there's 5 yisurim. What are the 5 yisurim? The 5 yisurim are, first of all, it's a zar. The zar is not allowed to eat kachim ever. In other words, even la'achazrika. Secondly, it's lifnei zrika, meaning even a kohen in those karbanis which he can eat can't be eaten lifnei zrika. Thirdly, it's chutz l'klaim. Fourthly, it's chutz l'chayma. And fifthly, it's an oila which can't be eaten at all. So those are the 5 yisurim. Freding and Marakasha, the lukinama, there should be another isur, perhaps another malchus. Mishum the zar lo yoichal ki koydeshem. What's the pasuk zar lo yoichal ki koydeshem? We look at the side Torah Shalom, the base. The pasuk is referring there to kachim, and the pasuk says, right, the highest level of kachim, va'achlu oisam asher kupa bahem. The malis yadam the kaddish oisam. The kachim can only be eaten by a kohen. Va'achlu oisam asher kupa meaning the kohenim through which there's a kapara is achieved, they can eat it. Actually, I made a mistake. It's not talking about the kachim per se. It's talking about a special type of kachim. It's talking about the miluim. Tzav is talking about the shivas yimei miluim. But it's also a level of kachim, but not stam kachim. Mitash gedashim of the shivas yimei miluim over there. So it says va'achleis meshkovim la'malis yadam lekadishem. The zor lo yoichal tikayideshem. The zor shouldn't eat them tikayideshem. The pasuk is telling me that Yisroel can't eat these kachim. But the fact that the pasuk says tikayideshem, you learn out of it. They could have just said Zar lo yoichal. That's ki kodesh. Kodesh is coming to tell me that the reason why you're not allowed to eat it is ki kodesh, and if it's another lav and possibly a malchus, there's no reason why not. Yeah, but it should be another lav and malchus for any kachim which are eaten. And therefore, a zar who eats the oila, why does Rabbi just say it's 5 yisurim? There should be a 6th issa, and an extra malchus. 6th issa, an extra velukinam mishum zol yechol ki kodesh. That's the Gemara's kash. So the Gemara answers, Pashta answer. Hani mili heichad the kohenim chazi. When does that pasuk apply? When the kohenim could eat it at some point, and the zar is not allowed to eat it. So then it's a problem. Zol yechol ki kodesh. But over here, in the case of oil, the kohenim nami lo chazi. And Pshat is, as Rashi explained, we'll soon see inside, but I'll say it anyway now, is it's meduik in the pasuk. When you have the which means when the kohenim you're eating it, so then is doch v'zar lo yachal kodshim. Then is a lab for a zar to eat. And ki kodshim tells me all sorts of kodshim. But something which even a kohen isn't allowed to eat because it's an oila, so there's no such lab over here. And therefore, okay, so that's the Gemara's answer. Fred Gemara Nachakasha. The Lulkanami, there should be another malchus, another issa, and another malchus. So this is a famous passage. The passage of Pashas is saying that you're not allowed to eat the treifa, which means to say an animal which was found to be treifa, you're not allowed to eat it. But nevertheless, the word besada is extra, superfluous. Why does it say basa besada? Who cares where it is? As long as the animal is a treifa, it's torn, it's not healthy, it's right, it's got the gather of a treifa, it's not going to live a certain amount of time. So then you're not allowed to eat it. Vasab is besada. So we learn out of the word besada, it's different places in Shas. Kiven sheyotza basa chuslim kitzasei nesa. Any basar which goes out of its mechitza, goes out of the place where it's supposed to be, where it's heter, in other words, that it has a heter within a certain mechitza, and it goes out, so nesar. So too over here, pshat is that since the it's being eaten here chutz l'chaim, zar shach and everything is chutz l'chaim. Chutz l'chaim is certainly out of the mechitza. Even if it was chutz l'chaim, it would be outside of the mechitza of kachi kajim. Kachi kajim can't be eaten out of the klaim. So from the word besada is open. Sada is also, there's no mechitzas to the sada. The sada signifies eating something outside basar, which is mutter only in a certain place, and you're eating it in the sada, eating it outside of that place is nesa. So as you can see in Rashi, that we learn from there that kachi kachim chutz l'klaim, there's an extra law from uvasa b'sada treifa leisechela. That's taka the maskana. That's taka where the malchus is from, as Rashi pointed out previously, which we learned yesterday, Monday, that the law for kachi kachim chutz l'klaim, which is in our Mishnah, the Mishnah says kachi kachim chutz l'klaim to get malchus, and we can't learn out of Reb Shimon's brayse because there it's only learned out of a kal v'chomer. So and in other words, the pasuk is really needed for the chutz l'chomer. So right, and even if you have one more, like we said, because of krayiser, it's only telling me ifnei zrika. How do I know the kachi kachim chutz l'klaim taka malchus is from a basa b'sada treifa? But here we're trying to apply it to zar sha'achal min ha'oila. That Rava said this chamesh isurim. There should be another issa and another malchus because of the basa b'sada treifa, from which we learn that kiven sheyatza batza chusm kisas, if basa is taken out of its mechitzas where it's supposed to be, so nesa. So my answers on the same lines as before. When can you have a chutz l'mechitza? The Sali tells me you're not allowed to eat something outside of its where it's supposed to be eaten. That's only outside of where it's supposed to be eaten. The oil can't even be eaten even inside the curtain. So therefore the whole thing doesn't apply. That's what the Gemara answers. When does this apply? When do we say a basa b'sada treifa there's a lav for eating basa b'sada, meaning outside of where it's supposed to be eaten? When b'fnim chazi, where inside is taka chazi. But over here by the oil b'fnim nami loy chazi. Inside is also not fitting to be eaten, and therefore there's not going to be a lav of a basa b'sada treifa leisechelu, no issa from this pasuk of a basa b'sada treifa leisechelu. One more kasha. The Gemara asks, "V'lukinami kid Rebbe Elazar should also be malchus based on that which Rebbe Elazar said." What did Rebbe Elazar say? The Rebbe Elazar. What little base take me to? And you Rebbe Elazar. Okay, it's a brisa. Either way, the Rebbe Elazar lo yoichal ki koydeshu. It's a passage by Noisar. If you look at Torah or Hasholim Dalad, Lo Yoichal Ki Kodesh. You have him Yivasm Ibsar Miluim. It's talking about a certain type of Noisar. The Noisar from the Miluim, Parshas Tzava, I believe. That in Yivasar, if it was left over, Ibsar Miluim min Alachem Adaboika, Vesaraftis on Noisar Ba'esh. You burn the Noisar Ba'esh. Lo Yoichal cannot be eaten. That would be good enough to tell me. It says Ki Kodesh because it's Kodesh, which teaches me that it's not just that the reason is because it's kodesh. From here we learn that any kodesh is included in this lab. Rabbi Elazar says, "Lo yoichal ki kodeshu kol sheba kodesh pasul." That's how you have to read it. Kol sheba kodesh pasul. Anything which became pasul, which was kachim at one point, now became pasul, just like Noisar. you're not allowed to eat. But Hakasa, the pasuk over here is telling me litin loisas alachilase, that anything which was kodesh and became pasul, there's a loisasa for its achila. In other words, it's read that if it's noisa, you're not allowed to eat it because kodesh it was kodesh and now it's pasul, and therefore anything which was kodesh and became pasul, you're not allowed to eat. The same thing over here, Lefora, the oil is being eaten outside of the Klein, of the Chayma even. So therefore, it should be the same thing. Any kachim which became pasul should be and here too the kachim is pasul, went out of its thing. So the Gemara answers on the similar lines as before, but here's a shtickle more of a chiddush because the oil attack, it does become pasul somewhat by coming out of it, right? It becomes pasul in his bayach. But so what he says over here is hani mili heichad the koydim pisuli chazi. Over here only applies where before it became pasul, it was fit for consumption, it was fit to be eaten. But over here by the oil koydim pisuli nami loy chazi, before it became pasul, it also was not fit for consumption. It was fit for the mizbeach, but it wasn't fit for achila. It wasn't fit for a kohen to eat it. So therefore, we can't learn anything out of this pasul. We'll do one more and then we'll see Rashi. The lil kinami ke'ibas the Rebbe Lezer. Let there be a Makkos ke'ibas Rebbe Lezer, like a different din of the Tani Rebbe Lezer. The Tani we learned in the Braisa. Rebbe Lezer oimer kol shehu bekolil. How do you read this? I go to back aleph. Kol shehu bekolil tia loy soichal. The pasuk says kolil tia loy soichal. It's a pasuk by a certain type of oil, not just a regular oil. I think it's again by the here we have a called minchas kohen kol tia. Sorry, it's not an oil. So a certain type of mincha which has to be totally burnt and loy achal. And the Rebbe Lezer somehow learns from it. I'm not sure how. That when it says kol tia loy achal, it teaches me that not just the minchas kohen over here, which is kol tia, should not be eaten, but kol shehu b'kol tia, anything which is din is kol tia, it has to be totally burnt. There's a lab of loy achal. Litin loy sas alachi lasa, to give a loy sas alachi lasa, and therefore there should be another lab for zar eating the oila, because it's the kol tia. So the Gemara Taka says, "Enochinami." You're right. The be'emes there is a sick isser, and there would be Makkos from kol tia. Lo yisiachal. V'rova mihai krokama, meaning when Rava said 5, he meant from one pasuk of the pasuk which we originally discussed on Yuzayin Amud Aleph, which Reb Shimon had the Braisa on, which says lo yisucha lecha ma'isa the gans v'tirosh v'yisarecha. From there, there's 5. But be'emes there's taka a 6th one from some other place. Okay, so stop over here and we'll do Rashi. Rashi is Hachi Gorsinan, first wide line. The Lilkinami Mishum the Zarloi Yoichal, yeah. The Chsiv b'miluim, it says by the miluim as follows. I go to back Gimel. The Chsiv b'miluim, in other words, the Zarloi Yoichal, which is written by miluim. The midakos have kikoidashem, since it says in the pasuk kikoidashem that these kachim of the miluim you're not allowed to eat, the zar is not allowed to eat because it's koidash. But Nasan Tamnadov gave a reason, didn't have to, because it said don't eat it. But kikoidashem. But Nasan Tamnadov gives a reason to tell you the fishem kachim that the reason why you're not allowed to eat it is kachim. And from there we learn the hazis as well, called kachim to teach us that the zar is not allowed to eat any kachim. That's the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara's answer is that the hemshech, the beginning of the passage says so the lav of a zar not eating something because it's kachim is only in a situation when the kleinim can eat it, when you have va'achlois mashakupabam. But when you don't have va'achlois mashakupabam, so then you don't have the lav either. That was the Gemara's answer. Yeah? Like as Rashi says, the chazi l'kaim, it's the reish l'krav va'achlois mashakupabam. Then the Gemara has the second kasha, which is the shri malchus because of the basa besad the teifa loisei chaylo. So and we learn from the Kimmel Sheyotza Basa Chutzlim Kitzasing Nasa, the extra word Sada teaches me that anything which is like in a status of a field, like a field which is outside of the Mechitza, becomes Asa. Besada Yiseira Kadia. From the extra pasuk, Sada, there was a dia, Sada Shem Mechitza, just like Sada which doesn't have Mechitza. But the man Mikan, Kachim puts the Klein. Kachim which puts the Klein outside of the curtains. But Uber Shahitz Yisada, it's another case which is an uber shahitz yada, meaning to say like this: that when you shecht an animal and there's a fetus inside, you're allowed to eat the fetus even without shechita. At least with the rice. But what happens if the uber was the hoitzias yada and then the yad went back in? So then we say that you're not allowed to eat it anymore. It's only why? Because it's allowed the heter of an ubar not being shachted while it's in its mother's body. But if it hoitzi is yodei, b'shashchitas imoy, so then it's no longer mutter. We learn that out from Chalubasa beside the Shefer Leisachela. So also the Gemara's kasha should also be good for oila. The Gemara answers no. What do you mean? Chutz and mechitza means where inside the mechitza is mutter. Over here it's an oila which is also even inside the mechitza. So therefore it's not included in the basa beside the Shefer Leisachela. That was the second kasha. The third kasha was that it should be from Loyochel Kikodesh, which is said by Noisar. Not by the noiser of the miluim, right? The mivasim and psar miluim. That there it says lo yach and it says ki koydeshu again. So it gives the reason ki koydeshu. Rabbi Lezer says that from there we learn that culture b'koydesh pasal, anything that became pasal, you're not allowed to eat. Rashi the top of that Yitchas on the base. The chsiv noiser it says by noiser, in other words of the hamiluim, right? Lo yoichal ki koydeshu. Mustn't time the davar ki koydeshu shenitza. In other words, it's kodshim which became possible. Kamoikin kala kodshim shenitza. And so to over here, all the kodshim, so it should apply to the oil which goes out of the fire, which goes out of where it's supposed to be. So the Gemara answers, "Hani min the kodshim so the chazik noiser." Where does that apply? Where before it became passel, there was chazi, meaning it was fitting to be eaten, just like noiser. Masha'en kain over here. Okay, so that is that Gemara. Now we go on to the etzem, a slightly different topic. Well, it's a different topic. I mean, we're not talking anymore about azar eating lifnei zrika. We're talking about something which was previously discussed. What was previously discussed? A kohen who eats chatas va'asham lifnei zrika. So again, we didn't really have we had a malchus taka for it, according to Rashi. How did we have a malchus for lifnei zrika? We had a malchus because the pasuk leisucha lecha was a cry say, right? But it said leisucha la'achlam, and that would tell me futz l'chayma. So the extra pasuk leisucha lecha ma'isa the gon we apply it to lifnei zrika. That's how Rashi said. But now Rabbi Gidol is going to say that there's another lav. Again, this is all you have to explain it, even though it's not first in the Gemara. That the discussion over here is whether there's an extra reason for a malchus. Right, there's definitely one malchus, at least according to Rashi's way of learning, is an extra malchus. So Amar v'gidla marav kohen she'achal michatas va'asham, a kohen who ate from michatas va'asham, which he's allowed to eat, but he ate it too early. He's only allowed to eat it after zrika, and he ate it lifnei zrika. Loike he gets malchus. My time, and what's the reason? Says v'gidla marav. The reason why he gets malchus, in other words, an additional malchus than the one which was mentioned previously. That's how you have to learn the Gemara. So Amar Krakas, the pasuk says like this: Va'achlu oitzim mashakupabam. The pasuk said. By the kachim of the miluim, so we learn from there. The kohenim allowed to eat it after there was a kapara, after there was an atonement, which means after zrika. Lacha kapara, after kapara, which means zrika. And then you're allowed to eat it. Then yeva achloisam, but if nei kapara, but before kapara, loy, you're not allowed to. And what's coming, what you have to say is that lava, say lava. What's included in what Rabbi Gidol is saying is that although it doesn't say not to do something, but it says yet to do something. It says you have to eat. Asher kupa bahem. The kohenim are allowed to eat it. Asher kupa bahem. So only then they're allowed to. But michal hein after shemel lav that lifnei kapara they're not allowed to eat it, and therefore that's like a lav abba michal say. The Torah is telling you not to do something. But the way it's telling you is to tell you that you're only allowed to do it in a certain instance, but it's ultimately telling you not allowed to eat before. And lav abba michal say lav. Now the klal is that lav abba michal say is asay. And that's going to be the Gemara's kasha straight away. But Kopanim, the Gemara's understanding of Regillah Marav at this point is that the only way we can explain it with this nusach that we have with this version of Regillah Marav is to say the Lava Bab Mechal say Lavu. And on that, the Gemara takas the kasha Mosiv Rava. Rava asks the kasha, yeah? The Behema Mefreses Parashas V'Shisas Shasa Stay Process. Malas Ger Behema Oisa Techel. Yeah, the pasuk in Parashas Re'eh, which talks about the animals you're allowed to eat, you're not allowed to eat. So before it says what you're not allowed to eat, right? It says what you can eat. And it says that a behema which has split hooves and malas geira, you're allowed to eat it. And then later it also says right? It says you're not allowed to eat. But the pasuk originally just says what you can eat. And if you go with the Gidlam Arab's var, the lava bar say lavu, then already now we can learn that the split hooves animal, those animals which split hooves and split the cud. And chew the cud, sorry. Those you can eat. We're not allowed to eat any others. That's the implied. The ikid, the ka'amras, if you're going to tell me, like you said earlier, say lavo, why is the pasuk showing you say again if implied in an assay is already allowed? When the Torah says this you're allowed to eat, which teaches me that anything else you're not allowed, and it hasn't taken for the lav, because lava say lavo, the lav which comes inferred from assay is lav, then why do you need to tell me again So therefore the Gemara rejects Rav Gidol Amarav, at least the version of Rav Gidol Amarav the way we have it, and it says if you're going to tell me that the din of Rav Gidol Amarav, you have to say different. It's not talking about kohen she'acham mechatas v'asham b'nei zrika, but rather Amar Gidlam Rav zor she'acham mechatas v'asham b'nei zrika pater. A zor who eats from mechatas v'asham before zrika is pater, even though, in other words, from this zor she'acham, now the we have a klal already. The zor she'acham mechatas v'asham b'nei zrika, I believe does get malchus from a different pasuk. What he's trying to say is that from this pasuk there's no, if I remember correctly, if it's at least according to Rashi, Tosfos over here says that no, that it's just an isam and not malchus. But if I remember correctly, I have to double check that the way Rashi learns over here, that Yud Ches Amud Aleph, Taka, there is a lav with Nezrikan. I'm not sure if it's only a kohen or also Yisroel, but I have to check that. But over here, what Rabbi Gidlam Rav is saying is that from this pasuk of Va'ach lo yisim asher kupa b'hem, that teaches me you're not allowed to eat la'achas zrika. It's only a kohen's not allowed to eat. From this pasuk, only a zar she'acham mechatas v'asham b'nei zrika pater my time. The acham makra va'ach lo yisim asher kupa b'hem. Since that says in the pasuk va'ach lo yisim asher kupa b'hem, so we learn from that kol heichad the karina be va'ach lo yisim asher kupa b'hem. Same what we said earlier, yeah. But when you say then you say in other words, when a kohen can eat it, so that's when the zar can't eat it. So that's when there's a lav of zar. You know, the zar should apply also to Ifnei Zrika. Says Rabbi Gidlam Rav that no, the zar doesn't apply to zar Ifnei Zrika because the zar only applies the hamshet of achlois, meaning that type of carbon which a kohen can eat, which is after kapar, which is after zrika, right? And whenever you don't say v'achlois mashakobah is loy karina be'vazar loy. Okay, so we had a kash from Gidlam Rav, and ultimately we said that Gidlam Rav isn't talking about kohen she'acham mechatas v'asham, but rather is talking about a zar she'acham mechatas v'asham l'fnei zrika, and not that he's chayav, but rather he's pater. And the reason is because it says in the pasuk v'achlois mashakobah. And then it says, we learn from that the lav of azar eating kachim only applies to the situation when a kohen can eat it, which is la'achas zrika, but nezrika, there's no malchus. So let's see Rashi. Rashi says, Oisa techelu, baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam v'adonai. Rashi, Oisa techelu, is the third line on the page. By the way, this reminds me, not really connected, but directly to the Gemara, is that there's a discussion about cannibalism, whether you're allowed to eat basar adam. So you're definitely not allowed to eat basar adam. But the question is, what's the issa? So some say it's the Rabbanon, different things. But I remember, I think it's the Rash, but one of the Rishonim Taka learns that there's no issa, there's an issa asay. It's a lava bomb class asay. When the Gemara says, when the pasuk says, the Chomehema press pas v'shisas stay process malas geirehema oisot techelu, oisot techelu v'loy b'sara adam. Although it's right, it's Taka included according to some Rishonim in this asay. Oisot techelu, the Siv kol behema press pas oisot techelu v'loy behema tmei she'ein siman alolba. Right? Implied is that you're not only allowed to eat an animal which has the simanim, so that who doesn't choose the card. The loy behema tmei she'ein siman alolba. Alma lava bomb class asay. We see that lava bomb class asay. How do we see so from the fact that the Torah has to tell me later, not to eat it. If lav can say lav, there'll be no need to say another lav. You already told me a lav from the implication from that say of oisa techelu v'ein be'im hakaretz, v'ein be'im mitmeim. So it must be that lav can say is considered an asay. Okay, karina be'vazar lo yoichal. Who say for the high crop? That's the end of this pasuk. Meaning, right? It says v'achos mashakobim, and then it says v'zar lo yoichal. The Zar Yechal is safe at the high cross at the end of this pasuk of Achleis Mashakupra. B'chol Zar Yechal Kodesh Lab B'Kachim Mishtay El B'Truma. K'dechsiv B'Reisha Dinyan Ish Mizer Aaron Dov Hashav B'Zar Yechal Aaron. The Zar Yechal Kodesh, he means a different Zar Yechal Kodesh. That's what he's saying. Yeah. He's saying that it's another pasuk is called Zar Yechal Kodesh, which isn't but Hemshich to Achleis Mashakupra. This is what Rashi's bothered about, yeah? Zar Yechal, right? Not B'chol Zar. There's two psukim. One says the Zar Yechal Kodesh, which is a safe of Achleis Mashakupra, right? By Parsh Tetzava, Ter Shalom Beis, Achleis Mashakupra, the Maz Yad, the Zar Yechal Kodesh. He's saying that this lav of Zar Yechal, you're not allowed to eat kachim, only applies to when there's a Achleis Mashakupra, when, in other words, when it's la'achazrik, when a kohen yak can eat it. Then the end of Rashi is just telling you just a second. There's another pasuk of Zar Yechal Kodesh, which seems to be a blanket statement that you're not allowed to, Azar is not allowed to eat kachim, and there it doesn't say v'achleis mashakubim, so maybe there should be an issa even if nezrika. So it's Rashi v'chazar leichel kodesh lab b'kachim mishtay. That pasuk v'chazar leichel kodesh, which is always the Torah Shon test, Right? Ishish Mizar Aaron Vutzerum Mizal Bekachim Leyecha B'chulu B'chulu, and then it says the Chazar Leyecha Kodesh. So we already learned Taka earlier in this parak that's Taka talking about Truma. La Bekachim Mishtar Betruma Klichse Bereisha Din on the Ishish Mizar Aaron. Since it says Ishish Mizar Aaron, we learn from that this Tova Shava Bazar Shal Aaron, which is Shava Bazar Shal Aaron, only by Zar Shal Aaron, and both men and women, which is the Inyan of Trum. So we could continue a little bit more, or we could stop over here.
New piece, no?
It's a new piece, that's yes. It's a new topic. We could stop over here. Okay. As Hashem, next time we'll see. Okay.